Hi, everybody. I wanted to do a quick video about college essay writing and some suggestions I have in terms of getting those essays started and done before the applications are due. So let's take a minute and talk about college essay writing. First step is to brainstorm. So you have to brainstorm and have an idea of where you're going. This honestly might be the longest step of the entire process, and that's okay because you have to have an idea of what you want to talk about before you start writing. When you're brainstorming, you should ask yourself things like, what are your goals? Who are you as a person? What values do you hold that you want the college to know about? What shaped your identity? What are some essence objects? So, things that are really crucial to understanding who you are as a person. What are some struggles that you've gone through? What are your character traits? If someone had to explain who you are as a person in a few adjectives, what would those traits be that they talk about? And then, of course, what are your strengths? You can brainstorm in a multitude of ways. You can do something very similar to what I have on the screen, where you have a Google slide presentation open and on various clouds or images, you write just topics that you might want to cover or things that are important to you. Some of the clouds might blend together, and that might be a relationship that you want to explore for your college essay. Other things might fall flat, and you decide that either you don't want to talk about that version of yourself or you simply don't have enough to talk about. But brainstorming is really key in order for you to understand where you want to go with the college essay. Title. Once you're ready to write, I want you to jot down a title. But I also want you to know the title will probably not be the same from when you start to when you finish. Because titles are so important. Just like we have first impressions as people in person, this is the first impression that the college is going to have of you. You have to be sure that you have a creative title. This should also be the final thing that you revise prior to actually submitting the essay. Make them want to read about you. Do not ever title your essay college essay unless that's a pun or something that you're using as a writing technique to play off of. Make sure that that title gives that first impression that you value so much and they really understand the heart of not only what the essay is about, but the heart of who you are as a person. Generally, people say there's no structure for a college essay. And that's true. There's no set structure for a college essay. But if you're one of those students that really crave structure and someone to tell you how to do it exactly, this is a starting off point that I suggest you at least start off with. So your first paragraph is going to be written in narrative format. We all know that a narrative is telling a story, and that's exactly what you want to start with in order to engage the admissions officer in the reading. You want to tell a story, you want to engage all of those senses as much as you can. And your hook should invoke one of the senses 100%. What I mean by that is you should start with describing one of the senses. If you're talking about a specific event, what were you seeing? What were you hearing? What were you tasting? What were you touching? What were you smelling? And not just in a descriptive format in, I was seeing the basketball court. No, I want to know that the beads of sweat were welling up on your forehead. And as the humidity rose, the beads dripped down your forehead. And you could taste the salt of the sweat in your mouth. I want to know all that. And so do the admissions officers. They want to not only know about you, but they want to also know that you have all these beautiful writing purposes that you can enact within your writing. So your first paragraph is going to be all about a story, telling us your story. What happened? Who was there? When was this? Where were you? Why was this happening? And again, back to those senses. When you're first drafting your essay, I want you to put more than less. Yes, I know there's a word count. Yes, I know it's not a lot, but it's much easier to cut things out in a draft than it is to try to pry more out of you. You're the only one that's an expert on you. Use that expertise. Tell us that story. In that first paragraph, it's all about telling a story. So you need to go back to your reading skills as well. What books did you enjoy reading? They were descriptive. They had dialogue. They engaged you as a reader. The expectation is the same for you as a writer. You have to engage those admissions officers with the story right up front, and you need to entice them to read by engaging their senses. Once you're done with that narrative format and telling that story in the first paragraph, then you can move on to a more traditional paragraph 2. This is going to be a little bit of a larger picture. So in this paragraph, you're going to go into the larger picture. For instance, if your first paragraph focused on a specific event, like a soccer game, where you might have broken your leg and you realize you would never play again, the second paragraph could be a more general picture for the reader of what soccer meant to you. How did you build up from there after breaking your leg? If your first paragraph focused on something like a specific moment with a person that changed your life, you could use the second paragraph to expand upon that, make it a more general sense, give us a little bit of a bigger picture. So think of the first paragraph as your snapshot. You're telling the story in great detail, right? If we see one picture, we can focus on a lot of detail in one picture. Then think of the second as a little bit of a bigger collage. There's more pictures to it. There's more moments that go into it. There's more experiences that go into it. And they're not going to be dove into in very as specific detail as the first, but I need to be able to see, and the admissions officer needs to be able to see, what was the point of telling that initial story? What's the larger message? Why did you talk about soccer? Why did you talk about that person? What was the overall effect that moment, that snapshot that you gave us in paragraph 1, how did it help you? And move on to a paragraph 2. You can also think of it this way. Paragraph 1, you were talking about the past because it's something that you've been through. Paragraph 2, think of it as your present, who you currently are. And then you move into paragraph 3, which is your future. You, the takeaway. What should we have learned about you as an individual? What characteristics do you have that we now understand based on the story? And how will college continue to develop these characteristics? So, paragraph 1, narrative format. You're telling that beautiful story with details, descriptions, with dialogue, with all of your story elements, right? Setting, characterization, plot, that all needs to go in there. That second paragraph, it's a little bit bigger picture, right? Think of it as that collage. How did that snapshot play a larger role in making you who you are? And now, paragraph 3, think of it as the sky's the limit for you, right? How is this going to affect college for you? How is it going to affect your future? What goals do you now have? Maybe you even want to talk about some changes. Sometimes we go through some struggles, right? We all go through some struggles. If you were talking about a struggle, how did that negative struggle in turn become a positive experience for you? An agent of change for you to be able to develop more fully into this college bound young adult. So, how will college continue to develop these characteristics? In order to also meet the district requirement for your college essay in literature and composition too, you do have to work in power and privilege and what role that played in terms of this experience. But please do not hesitate to reach out to us teachers to help you with that insertion. The main goal here is for you to tell your story and you to get admitted to the college of your choice. 5 tips before we go. Number 1, avoid way too common topics. We're all currently living in a pandemic. Many of us are doing distance learning. That also means many people are going to be writing about a pandemic and distance learning. You need to be able to set yourself apart. If you're choosing a common topic, something like, again, the pandemic, something like how your mother is the most influential person in your life, something about how you're explaining why you didn't do so well a certain year of high school. Those are all very common topics that are used oftentimes in college essay writing. And you can choose them, but you definitely need to set yourself apart from the thousands of other people that are using the same exact topic as you. Number 2, do not lie. Don't lie. Don't have someone else write it. Be true to yourself. You don't want to lie and get admitted to a college and realize when you go there that it just wasn't for you because they accepted the false you on paper as opposed to the true you. You can even definitely use your voice in writing for a college essay. It doesn't have to sound super academic. You don't need the thesaurus right next to you. We're not going to use slang, right? We're not going to say anything inappropriate in a college essay. Of course not. But you have to sound like yourself. You have to have your voice in there because you want to make sure that not only are you right for their college, but more importantly, their college is right for you. Tip number 3 from Miss Wissinger. Draft multiple college essays and see which one works best for you. I know nobody likes to hear that. Nobody wants to have 5 different college essays going at the same time. But that leaves you more opportunity to write the one that works best for you. Also, you can choose to use one college essay for one college or university and a different one for another. I suggest you try to draft multiple college essays and not try to fit everything into that one box. 4. Do not procrastinate any longer. If you did not join us for senior boot camp over the summer and you don't have a draft already of your college essay, do not procrastinate. You got to get it going. It's time. The time is now. There's no time like the present. Whatever cliche you want to hold on to, stop procrastinating. You got to get this college essay done. Number 5, get your ideas down and let us help with the rest. You have to get that initial draft done. We definitely can't do paragraph 1 for you. Only you, again, are the expert on you. This is your time to shine. You are the expert. Let us help you. Let us guide you. But you need to get those beautiful ideas down on paper and into a draft format. So to recap, don't be too common in your topic. Do not lie. Draft multiple college essays if you can and you have time. Do not procrastinate any longer and get that beautiful brain working and get those ideas down so we can help you. Here are some helpful videos regarding college essays that I've compiled. There are a plethora of options out there. You can do just a simple YouTube search for writing a college essay, and there will be a ton available to you. But it's up to you. The ball's in your court. And again, there's no time like the present. Good luck on these college essays. We love you, we're proud of you, and we're here to help.